SwissBorg is the official partner of my channel where you can buy, sell, hold and more importantly stake your cryptocurrencies. You can even earn yield on your stablecoins. Sign up with my link and you'll earn up to $100 worth of their native token CHSB just for depositing €50 worth of crypto. SwissBorg. Welcome back. We're going to talk about Algorand in a slightly different type of video than I'd normally do. I'm going to discuss all the reasons why certain things take up a portion already of my portfolio, or why I'm going to add them to my portfolio for a prolonged period of time. So this is almost like an investment type of video rather than my normal TA about trade this, trade that, buy this, sell this, signal this, blah blah blah. So this is more along the lines of I'm just looking to buy and hold for a long period of time. So this would be going on for several years, and there's a checklist that I'm going to apply to all of the coins that I'm going to be listing throughout these next few weeks, and it goes as this. Whatever coin I'll be looking at, it has to pass adoption, utility, regulation and compliance, and preferably, not always, but preferably some kind of staking rewards, because if you're going to hold something for a long period of time, you want to get some kind of interest on that, and I'll show you where the best places are to do that, because there's a variety of different platforms or even independent ways to stake coins with a variety of different yields that you get in return. So without beating around the bush, we'll make this video nice and quick. I don't want it to be one of those long drawn out boring videos where people just ramble on about a coin. Let's have a look at it. So Algorand was created by Silvio Micali. He's still in charge of the Algorand Foundation. He's an absolute genius when it comes to cryptography. In fact, in 2012, he received the Turing Award for his work in cryptography. That puts him in line to, the conspiracy theorists to suggest that it may be Satoshi. He's definitely not Satoshi, but I'm just saying, if there was somebody out there who's capable of being Satoshi, it's this guy. Earlier on this year, he did a podcast with Lex Friedman. It's about 2 hours long, where he just basically talks about his expectations for blockchain in the future. And obviously his path as a cryptographer. Definitely worth watching if you have the time for that kind of thing. So thinking about adoption, their ecosystem is massive. I mean, the list is absolutely enormous. And when we think about some of the most recent things that they've done, which is partnership and be the official blockchain of things like Napster and LimeWire, if you remember those things, it makes sense for those kind of things to run through a blockchain. But the most impressive one is the most recent addition, which is the FIFA World Cup in Qatar 2022. So I don't know, I know Americans aren't too fussed about this kind of thing, but maybe the American audience might be more interested in something like NBA or the NFL or those sort of things, which are probably going to come down the line. Maybe they'll come on Algorand, or maybe they'll choose somebody else. But the fact is that Algorand has now become the official, not just sponsor, but official blockchain for the World Cup. So if you can understand the scale of this, to what this would mean down the line for anybody who's watching the World Cup and now is able to participate in the use of NFTs through Algorand. So the whole crypto side of things is going to be forced down the throat of people who aren't necessarily exposed to it or skeptical of it, but now they've been given the royal seal of approval by FIFA. So this is a big deal, not just for Algorand, but for crypto in general, to see that it can be utilized in real world situations. Like I say, I know Americans aren't particularly bothered about the World Cup, but last World Cup reached an audience of 3.5 billion viewers, so that's half the planet right there. FIFA reckon that this time it's going to reach an audience of 5 billion, so as far as its reach are concerned, this is probably the biggest advertising plug that any blockchain's ever had, so eat your heart out, Matt Damon. And so when we go back to the list, when it comes to adoption, it's going to get a nice green tick from me. So let's think about the use case and the utility for Algorand, which is again absolutely enormous. So you could call them the jack of all trades and the master of several, really. Obviously, we've just seen the NFT side of things for FIFA. They're also in line to the throne to become the main contender for a CBDC. So whether you love it or hate it, it is what it is. So when it comes to actually programming or creating dApps for Algorand, you can use a variety of different already existing programming languages like Python and Java. So this isn't the case for a lot of dApps out there. You have to use very specific niche types of programming language for Ethereum, for instance. It's not the case over here, so easily transferable skills from previous coders from other backgrounds can now jump onto Algorand and start developing. So that'll give you another nice green tick. Thank you for that. Right, let's move on. So earlier on this year, March, it came out that Algorand is basically playing ball, as it says in this article here, with the SEC to try and make sure that there is as regulated as humanly possible with the SEC when it comes to launching their NFTs with FIFA. So we've already established on this video that the reach is going to be roughly about 5 billion. So you want to get it right. So they're not just doing things out of out of nowhere. Obviously, you know, when we look at NFTs in general, it's not that I don't understand them, it's just that sometimes I just think, why are these things worth so much money? It seems to be a perfect money laundering scenario. You know, someone draws a smiley face and sells it for a few million. That could easily be behind the background of that some kind of arms deal, or, you know, for a sack of heroin or you know, something along those lines. Whereas, you know, they're trying to do it properly. So they're playing ball with the SEC when it comes to their new big venture into NFTs to that huge global audience from FIFA. Now, it might sound boring working with the SEC, but if you don't want to get hit down the line, you know, with some kind of silly lawsuit like we've seen threatened with BNB recently, but also the famous one, which is XRP, you want to try and you know, stay out of projects that have that kind of looming threat hanging above you. So if Algorand are working with the SEC to get things right, it gives me a bit more confidence in investing for the long term, because you can look at charts and price predictions and things like that, but there's certain things that you can't predict, which is like black swans, and a black swan could easily be seen as what happened to XRP when the SEC turned around and says, excuse me, we're going to take you to court, blah 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 blah, and drag the whole thing out. It's going to have a huge impact in price if they're not, you know, compliant in what it is that they're trying to do. And so with that willingness to cooperate with the powers that be, I'll give you another green tick. Thank you very much. Let's move on to staking. So you can stake Algorand almost directly using the Algorand governance rewards. You get 7.67% by doing it this way. Now, I don't do it like this. I haven't locked them up like this. I actually use Coinbase. So normally Coinbase doesn't really come up as a number one for anything, really. It's definitely, I'd say, the first stop shop for any new retail customer, you know, especially people who aren't wanting to actively trade. So it's definitely a decent investment platform. But when it comes to staking, they don't have much choice for anything, really. And in fact, it's one of the worst when it comes to choices. There's really hardly anything there. But luckily, they actually offer a really decent return on holding Algorand in there, and there's no lockup either, which is another decent benefit for those of you who don't like locking up your tokens. So if you use someone like Crypto.com or even Algorand's official governance system, you do have to lock up your tokens, so you can't get access to them once they're locked up. They're locked up and they stake away, and you have to wait for, I think on the governance system, 90 days to go forward, 90 days, and then you get access to your crypto again. Crypto.com will give you a variety of different options, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and with different percentages, APR percentages, none of which are as good as Coinbase's, by the way. And Coinbase offers 5.75% APR on your Algorand position. So, and again, no lockup. So you get given your APR every day. So, you know, you get given your staking rewards on a daily basis. And if it really came to it, if you really desperately needed to sell it, if it looked like there was going to be a bubble pop or there was some kind of calamity event down the line that inescapable, and you just thought, right, that's it, I'm just going to sell, you can just sell it straight away. So Coinbase comes up as the number one platform to stake it from. But again, if you want that, it's almost another 2% that you can get from doing it on the government system. Then yeah, you can do it through Algorand's official governance staking. But for me, I'm a simple being. I like to do it as simple as possible. I also like the freedom that comes with Coinbase, but for the ability to sell it if I ever really needed to. Not that I intend to, obviously, but if there was ever a reason to do it, I could do it, and I don't have to stress about my tokens being locked up for X amount of time. So yeah, there you go, staking number one, Coinbase. And because you're being so generous with your staking rewards, I will be generous and give you another one of these amazing green ticks. So coincidentally, today is a day that Algorand has decided to pump 18%, which is counter to the rest of the market, which is generally in a horrendous downtrend. I don't know when you're watching this, but at the time of recording, we are in the depths of a bear market. So it is interesting, and it's quite kind of nice, really, to see that the coin that you're holding a lot of is actually rallying counter to the rest of the market. But I mean, regardless of what's happening today, the point of this video, like all these ones that I'm going to start releasing, over the next few months, is about buying, holding, and investing and staking, and why I'm doing it, and the reasons for it, which is why I give everything with those green ticks, really. So like I say, when investing is different to trading. You're buying and you're holding for a prolonged period of time because you see something coming somewhere along down the line in the future, whether it's years or maybe just months, but preferably years down the line, which is why it's important to ride the waves of volatility. Don't get beaten up when it goes down. Don't get too euphoric when it goes up. You've got a projection of of where you want it to go and why you think it's going to reach those levels. And like I say, Algorand takes up a large portion of my existing portfolio for all the reasons above, and where possible, you know, if we come down further, which I think we probably will, but if we do come down further, I do intend on buying even more of it for all the reasons that I've specified in this video. So hopefully this has been in some way insightful. I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video, and maybe leave a comment on there saying how amazing it was. It all helps the algo of the channel. But other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.